Okay, guys, we are going to do a little intro to the platform of My Pearson, where we'll be doing all assignments, quizzes, and tests this year, whether you're here at school or distance learning. So I have put on Kidem the instructions on logging in or getting signed up. So I'm assuming this has already been done, and this is how we're going to roll through it. So when you go to the Pearson.com, you'll sign in with that username and password that you created. Your course should just pop up right here. There shouldn't be any others unless you happen to have another My Pearson course. So let me get to where I have several things on here. Here is our class, the Revis Bridge Math 2021. And notice I have to actually click on where it says that to get in. And then this is what's going to pop up, Mymathlab or Mymathlab Math. One difference between my screen and what yours will, everywhere where you see a little person with a line through it, you will not see. Those are just for me and my instructor course. Course home, this is where you'll have a little welcome there. You can see your grade book, assignments, things like that. And what's been assigned or unassigned and things like that. And just some other little things. You might want to play around with the website some. The two most important areas for us are going to be assignments and lesson content. Notice there is an e-text that if you need to go to the book and look through the book, if that's helpful to you, you can. You can look through the study plan, your grade book, all these things you can look through. The multimedia library, real quick, if you'll notice is some PowerPoints, textbook, animation, some videos that are made by My Pearson that you can or cannot use if you'd like, but sometimes those are helpful. But I will be posting videos to everything. If you notice, I accidentally clicked out of the class, but here we go, back in the class. And let's go look at the things that are the most important to us, which is the assignments and lesson content. So first, let's look at lesson content. This is where I'm going to post our videos for each lesson before you do the work. And if you notice, we have right here, I've already got all the chapters listed. There is no content under anything right now other than individual lessons. Notice in chapter 3, we'll actually do one lesson out of chapter 1, but I've included in 3, and then we'll do each one of these sections. Right now, as I click lesson 1, 2, there's nothing there, but this is where I will have posted the video and instructions for that lesson. If we go back up to lesson content, if you'll notice right here, welcome and intro video, we do have a video listed. So this will sort of be how the lessons work. You just click on it. It will direct you to the YouTube lesson. Pop up, and then you can watch the lesson or anything else that you might need to do. So I'm going to X out of that. But this is where all our information for lessons, could be exit tickets for whatever that we might be doing, is going to be right here. Okay. If I go back to my main menu, your assignments, okay, this is where you're going to do all your work. The only thing that's going to pop up right here is actually what has been assigned. And right now, all that's been assigned is the orientation. And let me open that up and show you how that's going to work. But this is how assignments work. You click on the assignment, and then this will pop up. You got how many questions are on the assignment. Then you'll just want to start with question 1. I'm going to go ahead and work through this orientation, and you'll do it too before you move on to the actual first lesson out of chapter 3. But I'll quickly go through this. This is just sort of an introduction to how My Pearson works and how they want answers and things you may see. It's got some instructions here. Notice there's nothing to answer yet, so I click continue. And it says, do you notice at the bottom left, there's a status bar to see how far you are on this program. Press continue to see more. And then here is an actual box. This is just an example of how we could answer. It says type the number 1. So you type in the answer that you're looking for your question. Notice down at the bottom pops up ways we can put in fractions, exponents, square roots, all this and that. But then you click check answer. It's going to tell you, if you missed it, it's going to tell you right there that it is wrong, and it's going to give you another chance. You get 3 opportunities to get questions correct. If you miss it 3 times, then at the bottom, it's going to say a new problem. You click that, and then it'll pop up a new problem that you get 3 chances to get correct. But we go on, and then notice this part still has 2 parts remaining. I'm going to continue. Again, as you can hear the bell for school. Here's another way. Right here it says to click to view the answer. It tells us the answer is 4. So I'm going to put 4 down in the pop-up, or down in the answer. And nice work. There you go. And we'll look in a minute what happens when you do miss a question. Question is complete. Notice there's where it says similar question is actually the wording it uses. If you've missed it 3 times and I can't move on, you hit similar question. At times, if you miss it after several similar questions, it won't let you have any more, and you just have to let me know, and I can go and change the settings so that you get more opportunities. And we'll discuss in a minute why that is important. So going to arrow over to the next problem, or I can always hit this drop down list up here and it will list the questions, and I can pick questions out that way, or I can use the arrow back and forth. Here's just an example of multiple choice. It says you may want to try an incorrect answer to see the feedback. So let's do that. Choose the smiling face. That's our wrong answer. What happens when I hit a wrong answer? Tells me that this is incorrect, and then I'm going to get another opportunity. So let's say I get it incorrect again. Notice this one's only give me 2 opportunities for this, and when it's the final check, it will tell you I'm not getting any more opportunities, and then it tells me my correct answer. I click OK, and then what I have to do now to get this one correct is I have to hit similar question. And now it changes the problem. Notice it's changed the order of everything. What's the smiling face? Here I click smiling face, check my answer, and there we go. Well done. All right, and you'll notice all it does is mark the question is now correct. It doesn't care how many times you've missed it. Once you get it correct, it is correct. So let's move on to question 3, which are true. 1 plus 2 is not 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And there we go. I'm going to sort of go through these quickly now. Did you notice question like the one above? Use a square button for each choice. You can choose multiple answers from the list for each attempt, so there is possible to have multiple answers. View the choices here. It's just showing you can have a choice from a drop-down list. Pick the correct answer there. Next question. I've already done an incorrect answer, so I'm going to go ahead and get this correct. 5. Did you know the navy blue special instruction? It is very important that you pay attention to these navy blues, because what it's going to do, it's going to ask you how to put your answer. It could be a fraction, could be a decimal, could be a rounded off decimal. This program will not count it correct if you put let's say you put 1/2 instead of 0.5. If it asks for it as a decimal, even though 1/2 and 0.5 are the same answer, it is not going to count it correct. You have to type it in the way it wants the answer. So you have to be very careful here to pay attention, especially quizzes and tests when it doesn't give you multiple opportunities to get it correct. So let's continue. There's 8 parts remaining, now 7. All right. Make sure here that all this is showing you is if there is a blue box showing up as your answer results, it needs that blue box filled in. So notice none of these first three are correct. Here at the bottom, this one is filled in correctly, so I'm going to say that's the correct answer. And you'll see this as you go through. Here's how we enter fractions. So I can either use these buttons down here, but you can also create fractions by hitting the backslash key. If I just hit the backslash key, which you can't see, notice it creates a fraction there. If I get out of that, I can also hit the fraction button. I'm going to be in the numerator. I need to put x squared, so I'm going to put x, and then I'm going to hit right here is my exponent squared, and then you actually have to arrow down to the denominator, and I'm going to type in my 3. And there we go. So that's the way we enter fractions into the program. Let's see what's next. We still have 5 parts remaining, so I'm going to continue. When you have equations, you have to be careful. If it already gives you the x equals or the y equals, you do not need to put that in there again. So notice this one has already given me the x equals, so what we do is we just put in the 4. It is not correct to go ahead and put in the x equals again. Rounding, you have to be very careful about rounding. The same thing. If it says round to 2 decimal places, you round to 1, it's going to count it wrong, even if you do have it correct. And then here, you just have to be careful where your commas or things are put. If you'll notice, it looks like this one might be correct. This one has a comma in the denominator. We can't have this. This one has a comma inside the absolute value. You can't have this. And this one, you can't hardly tell, but it has the comma inside the square root. So you have to make sure if you got a square root that you exit out of the square root before you put your comma. So there is correct. So there we go. Let's see. We've got 7 more questions. We have 1 part remaining on this. I'm going to continue. Enter 4, 6, or any number between 4 and 6. I'm going to hit 5 to answer that question correctly. There we go. Next question. All right, it's just showing you how to put answers on a number line. They'll give you a dot or a point, and you can hold and drag. There we go. I'm putting on the spot it wants. Same thing on a coordinate axis. I can put this point anywhere. They're asking me to put it on the X, so I just click and drag. Well done. To draw a line, 2 ways we can go about this. Number 1, I can just click directly on the graph that's there, and notice it'll bring up my line if I need a curve or a circle, if I need to fill in colors, dotted or solid line, if I need to clear. The other option you have is to click over here and enlarge the graph, and then it'll bring up a separate thing. So either way you want to do that. It's wanting me to draw a line connecting those 2 points, so I'm going to click on the line. And it actually said it wants us to use a dash line. So I'm going to exit back out of this and look at the directions. It says a line, a dash line, and then it wants to shade above the dash line. So I'm going to click on that. Then what I do is I click on one point, the first point where I want. And I got to make sure it's dotted here. Click on that. And then I just I don't have to hold it down. I just move my cursor up to the other point. I hit a dot, and there's the line. To shade, I click the bucket, and then it wants above, so I'm going to click above the line. It'll shade it for me, and there we go. Check answer should be correct. Next question. Add numbers in the data by copy to copy the data. Sometimes it gives you this right here where notice they've got some data over here. If you want to open it in a spreadsheet, you can. Most of the time you don't need to do that. Or you can click there and it will give you a drop-up box, sometimes giving you some extra instructions or being able to read that data. And it says to add the numbers in the data set. So it just wants you to add all those numbers up. And I'm going to pull out my calculator real quick and see what that is. Here, 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 2 plus 7 plus 7 plus 5 plus 8. I believe it's 55. So type in 55. Check answer. There we go. Got about 3 more questions here. All right, drawing a parabola. We'll get to this some point in the year. So notice it has a little parabola here. The way you do it is you start at the vertex or the very bottom of this particular parabola. I hit a button, and then notice as I drag the arrow, it's going to open or widen. It could go up or down, but in order to get it right there, you do have to be very careful, because if you're not directly on that line, I'm picking a specific point on there, it will not line up correctly. So just make sure that happens. 2 more quick questions. Circle. I use a circle. You start in the center, and then you can move anywhere out to where you're found the point you want on the circle in any direction. And notice down here you got delete and clear. If you did something wrong, you can clear it off. Notice it cleared it off. But you can also, after you do it, notice it's a little bit off there. I can also still click and drag this point to the proper point, to where it needs to be. All right, so there we go. And looks like we have one last question. Want to draw a curve. So it tells us to do this. We won't use this a whole lot, but same thing. And it pulls up this. And we just have to do what it says to do. It says use the x cube 2, update the function, have a vertical stretch of 3. Notice here's vertical stretch, horizontal stretch, then vertical shift and horizontal shift are down here. So this says a vertical stretch of 3, so I'm going to change that to 3. A horizontal stretch of 1, that's already there. A vertical shift of 0, that's already there. And a horizontal shift of positive 5. So I'll move it over to positive 5. And then a reflection over the x-axis. Reflect over x-axis is right there. And there we have it. That's what it wants us to do. Check answer. Nice work. And notice I've reached the end of it. Notice it keeps a running tally up here, 100%. And now I can save it. And then just shows you that. Then we go here, and then I would go back to my assignments page. And there's nothing else assigned right now. So you can see it's got my orientation. I can see my score there. And what will happen is as assignments are assigned, they'll pop up right there. Okay. And let me go ahead and assign one of them just so you can see, or let me assign a couple of these so you can see what's going to happen. If you'll notice here on mine, I've got all our assignments listed. This is the whole year. These are all the assignments and tests and quizzes that will be going through the entire year. And so let me assign this, and let me assign this. And now let's go back to the assignment that you will see, and let me show you what this looks like. If you'll notice here, okay, now it has assignment 1.2 and 3.1. If you'll notice, there's a flag by 3.1. The flag means you are not allowed to do that assignment yet. And the way I'm doing this class is all the assignments have to be done in order, and they have prerequisites, which means I could not do assignment 1.2 until I scored at least a 90 on the orientation. Here, when I assign 1.2, you will not be able to move forward to 3.1 until you score at least a 90 on 1.2. Okay, so if you fall behind on an assignment or you don't do an assignment, you're not going to be able to keep doing. You've got to go and do all the assignments in order to get through the course. So all homework or classwork assignments, you have to score a 90 to move on. I believe I have it set up so that quizzes and tests, you have to score a 60 on in order to move forward. Okay, and the nice thing is on quizzes and tests, the difference is quizzes and tests, you have to do the entire quiz or the entire test before you can see your result. It won't tell you immediately if a question is wrong. You do all of them, then you see your score at the end. If you don't like your score, you simply retake the quiz. If it's a test, you don't get a score you want, or you don't get at least a 60 on the test, there is a short remediation, and then you retake the test, and then you can retake the test as many times as you want. You can retake the quizzes as many times as you want. So this course, you can actually get as high a score as you want because you can retake everything, redo everything, and get the exact score that you would like to do. The problem comes is if you don't do your assignments, you're stuck here. And if we're in chapter 5 and you haven't finished 1.2, you can't get to any of the assignments or the tests or anything like that until you get through the assignments. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys at home. We'll go over it more in Zoom meetings and in class, but there's a nice little introduction to the MyPearson.